Hey guys, what's up? Sean Ogle. We've got another Location Rebel case study today, and I'm super excited for this one because of all the people I've met in 2013, Blair Robinson's got to have one of the coolest and best success stories I've found. He's an awesome guy. And today we're just going to talk a little bit about how he joined Location Rebel, the businesses he's built and the big changes that he's made in his life. So before we jump into that, dude, Blair, thanks for being here. I appreciate you taking the time.
Hey, thanks, Sean, man. I really appreciate it. This is awesome. I want to say thanks first for having me on here. I'm really excited to kind of show some other people, how they can take your program and, really apply it to their lives and really, make huge transformations.
Yeah, totally. So you joined January 1st, 2013, or kind of right around there, but let's back up a little bit before we talk about when you joined. Let's talk about what your life was like, in the couple of years leading up to that. What kind of brought you to the point where you wanted to make a change and start your own business?
Sure. So before I was working for a company, technical company, doing a lot of software support. I was sort of managing almost like a large help desk for a technical company. Yeah. And so crazy hours, a lot of weekend work, a lot of night work. And the interesting thing is that each year between Christmas and New Year's, we got the week off. That was kind of the 1 week where, things semi slowed down. So actually last year, it gave me a chance where I could kind of disconnect for a little bit. And I was kind of searching around for things online. I had followed you, but hadn't really spent a lot of time kind of seeing what you had to offer. So yeah, I thought it might be a good time. I had a week where I thought, well, maybe I'll sign up for Location Rebel. I'll just put some of the, try to read up on the blueprints and just see if I could put some of the, the business or one of the businesses into action and really see if I could get some return on the money, instantly. So, the results were really amazing. I picked the SEO writing blueprint and I got a list together, used one of the freelancing sites and gathered, 500 or 600 names and just started emailing these guys. And literally within that first week, I think not 100% sure. Pretty sure I was like between $300 and $400 in that first week. And
that's
so
awesome.
You
recouped the cost right there.
Exactly. So I paid for it, in the first week. So it was kind of like, wow, this is, maybe a really viable business, that I just never thought really was out there.
See, that's really cool. So kind of fast forward a couple weeks. This is one of my favorite emails I received all year. Is I got an email from you saying, basically, I quietly set a goal to make $4,000 in my first month. I had no idea if that was actually going to be possible, but it's now 12:01 on February 1st, and you had made $4,030, basically with everything that you learned in Location Rebel. Like, how did that feel the moment you were kind of like, man, I actually reached this goal?
Yeah, it was unbelievable. I've had some businesses in the past, and I've had sort of the ups and downs that kind of come along with working for yourself versus working for somebody else. And honestly, in all the businesses in the past that I had, they were a lot more overhead intensive in terms of, you needed equipment, you needed, thousands of dollars of things, whether it's products or equipment, to then sell what you're offering. Whereas with Location Rebel, all these, there's literally, you need a computer and that's it. You need time, and you can truly, in almost no time, just completely change your life. And so, that first month, at the end of the month, seeing that huge number, I was just blown away. And, that was also the time where I realized that maybe this is something that I could do and potentially leave my job, because I was working, 60, 70 hours in my current job. And then I was coming home. I'm married, and I was working from 7 to 2 in the morning, cranking out articles, and so I realized that probably wasn't sustainable long term. So some things that, based on the message boards that you guys have, what I saw is a lot of people, outsourcing a lot of their writing. So after that first month, I sort of thought, well, let me see if I can find some writers, try to outsource the large percentage of the writing, and then, just edit and just take a cut that way. So that's kind of how I shifted the business towards the middle half of the year, where I focused more on just volume, and getting a system in place, which I think is a big piece for everybody out there, is that you need to set goals and you really need to try to hit them, and you need to try to put in a system that works. I mean, if it's a spreadsheet or something, I mean, I have this Google spreadsheet where I put an entry for every article. I put, how much I made from the article. If I subbed it out, how much I paid the subcontractor. And then, I just keep this daily total that I just move down in the Google spreadsheet. And I say, okay, today I've made $300. My goal today is X. Yeah. And so just seeing that number and seeing that monthly number just climb, it's just like the most awesome feeling. I mean, to see like, wow, once again, I beat last month's number, I can do this. Or, like you're saying, like the end of January 31st, you're $40 away from hitting that 4,000 goal. And I mean, you're going to do it because you see it in the spreadsheet that you're that close. Whereas I feel like if you didn't have those metrics and you didn't have those goals, maybe I would have fell asleep a little bit early, not hit that goal, and I think that's a big thing. And it sounds kind of sort of simplistic, but just psychologically having those goals, I think for me has been a huge thing this year. And, having the support in the forums and, connecting with a few other people who also kind of started along the same time that I did. And, seeing, all of us succeed, is really a powerful thing.
Well, and I think what you've done, like, it's really cool to see the evolution. So you kind of started out, you said, I'm going to start with SEO writing, I'm going to build that skill, I'm going to put up a WordPress website. So you kind of learned how to, use WordPress and do that, which is a hugely valuable skill, as I'm sure you've learned over the last few months. And what that did is it gave you income, it gave you confidence, and it allowed you to, scale the writing business to the point where you're not doing as much of the writing, but then kind of in the long run, it allows you to free up some time to kind of work on, maybe some sexier projects or the stuff you want to grow with. And I know, you've got a couple new businesses in the works that you're not necessarily ready to talk about, but it's cool to see that. But let's talk about the last 2 months of your life. So you've been going this, you started in January, you got the business profitable. What's happened both personally and professionally?
Sure. So So, I think a lot of the guys that sign up for Location Rebel, it seems like a lot of them are wanting to travel and wanting to, explore the world, and that's great. But for me, that was not it at all. For me, I've been married for 5 years, and my wife and I were getting close to wanting to start a family. And so, we actually got pregnant, earlier in the year. And so, actually had our first child November 15th. So
congratulations.
So it's been a huge change, a lot of sleepless nights, but, I almost feel like the business almost prepared me for sleepless nights just based on the amount of hours that I was putting in, for doing the writing with the other job. So my wife has been really supportive. And so what, she was pushing me to leave my 9-to-5 for months, but I wanted to kind of build up a nest egg and, just be conservative and make sure that this was viable and consistent. And so, actually October 15th, I left my current job. And so now I'm full time doing the writing and working on some other projects. But yeah, I mean, it's funny, throughout the year, I actually went about midway through the year, I went to my boss and I kind of said, hey man, I didn't get into super specifics, but I said, I kind of have this thing that I'm doing on the side, on my own time. And, the pay that I'm getting from that it's more than you're paying me. So, we kind of need to figure something out. So he increased my pay at that point. But then, each month the business is growing. It's growing. So then once again, I'm faced with, okay, well, once again, I'm making about what I'm making in my 9-to-5 with the writing. So it's kind of like, why not just go out on my own? I had the baby on the way and I wanted to spend more time with my family. Like I said before, my previous job was very long hours, a lot of nights and weekends. And, my wife and I, we like to do we go to football games on the weekends and do a lot of fun things. And there's so many times where I didn't enjoy those experiences because I was constantly looking at my phone. Like what is the latest issue that's about to blow up and it's going to pull me away from my family. And so I knew with a baby girl in the way that I needed to make a change because in my personality, and it's where if something's wrong, I want to fix it, and I'm going to do you're
just going to stress about it until you finally get to the point where it's actually solved. So it kind of ruins a lot of your personal life. And so it's like if you're making the same amount of money and you can have an extra 40 plus hours to work on your own business, it's like then it's like not only do you have the freedom, but then you're like, well, if I've got all this extra time, what else can I build and how much can I grow it? And I've got to imagine with a new baby, you've probably saved some money. And I mean, it sounds like it's only been about 6 weeks ish
Right.
since you had her, so you're probably not at the daycare point yet.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I can't imagine how much money you're going to save on daycare by being able to work from home and spend
Exactly.
time with her that way.
Yeah. So yeah, my wife and I, she's gonna go part time, and we're gonna kind of split up the daycare or the babysitting or role. So I'm gonna kind of take the mornings, and then she's gonna work in the morning, and then I'm gonna work in the afternoons and in the evenings. And yeah, I mean, I think we'll probably save at least $1,000 a month, right there. So it's a huge expense savings that we talked about it. If I stayed in my current job, we'd probably have to make the same decisions where she was going to go work part time, but we were still going to have to figure out daycare for that kind of half of the day.
Right.
So it's kind of like, well, so then I would still be working these long hours, still paying for daycare, and then still trying to do the side business.
Oh, totally.
It would have been too much. So, this past 6 weeks have been great. I've actually connected with some local startup incubators in my town. I'm like I said before, I'm big into getting connected into my local community and doing things with local entrepreneurs here. Not so much traveling, but the same principles that apply that allow you to travel to Thailand, for 6 months, allow me to, set up anywhere, and which is just great. It's really been a life-changing experience for me.
No, and that's so cool to see. It kind of just shows the gamut. I mean, we've got people that quit, they took off. Like, we have one guy that moved from Ireland to Thailand, and I mean, people traveling, but there's just as many people that are kind of in this point where they just want to spend more time with their family, have more freedom, do more of the stuff that they like, and that's really cool to me. So for the people, I want to ask you 2 questions now.
Yep.
One, do you think that realistically anybody can do this? And 2, if somebody's on the fence right now thinking about maybe joining Location Rebel, what advice would you give them, or what would you tell them?
Yeah, I mean, I really think, anybody can do this. I mean, I think if you look at the investment that you're putting into it, I mean, it's just a relatively small amount of money compared to what you can get out of it. And I mean, I think if you're willing to participate in the forums, to read the blueprints, to really put the skills into action, I mean, there should be no doubt that you can get your money back quickly and multiply that many times. I mean, I think I'm a good example where, I put the skills into action, and now, less than a year, I've quit my job, and I'm, making what I was making before, and I'm spending more time with my family. And I mean, if I want to go to my daughter's appointment, I go to her appointment. Actually, between Christmas and New Year's, my family's going down to the beach for a week. I mean, I'll just take my laptop with me, and I'll be set. And I mean, it's a great feeling, just to be able to work from anywhere, and just be able to watch my daughter grow up and just see every stage of her life, and spend more time with my wife at the same time. It's really been great.
Oh man, that's so cool to hear. Like, it's like just kind of following along. I still remember I got the email where it was like, I finally did it. I left my job. My daughter's, going to be here in a month, and this is the coolest thing ever.
Yeah.
So just to finish it up, did I pay you to say any of this? Like, did you do all this on your own? Like, did we have any previous relationship? I know a lot of people get skeptical of that kind of thing. It's like, oh, you talk to him every week and you consulted with him and you did all this. Like, did I do any of that for you?
No, I didn't know you from Adam's House Cat. I mean, I found you online, and I signed up for the program, and, I put in the work. And I mean, that is a big part of it, and you've got to be committed to that. But if you're committed to that, the results can truly be astounding. And I mean, I think that most of the blueprints, I mean, they're step by step, and I mean, it's not very difficult if you're just willing to put in the time and, establish systems to really change your life. And I mean, anybody can do it.
Yeah, and I think that's a really important thing. Is like, it's not necessarily hard to do,
right,
but it takes time, it takes effort. I think the hardest part is the discipline.
Yeah.
The discipline, sit down, be like, from 7 to 2 a.m. or whatever, I'm going to work on this. And you probably had a few months in there that were like, this is a lot of hard work. I don't want to do this forever. But, in just, 10 months, you've made a huge change. And, now you probably don't have as many, 2 a.m. nights, at least not going towards the business.
Yeah, exactly. Only towards the new daughter. But hey, it's worth it. But, and my dad, he sort of watched this transformation. And one thing that he keeps going back to is that, I think about cranking out these articles, and it's not that big a deal. But I mean, at the end of the year, when I look back and I keep these metrics, and after this week is over, I'll probably have cranked out 7,000 articles.
Yeah.
So I mean, that's millions of words, over the year, and I mean, just putting a system in place that can kind of handle that volume, it took some work, but it just shows that it's really cool to be able to do something like this and make a living, doing something that a year ago I would never even thought was really out there to make a living doing,
Totally. Well, I can't wait to see where the next year goes, both, business wise with your family. I know you got a lot of things kind of expanding beyond some of the writing that are going to be really excited.
Yeah, definitely.
So if you're listening to this and you join Location Rebel, maybe you're already in Location Rebel, hop on the message board, shoot Blair a message, say hi. I think that's one of the coolest things is just being able to get in touch with people that are doing similar things, getting to know new people. And I can't thank you enough for taking the time to do this and sharing your story. And, it's such a cool experience to see what you've done this year. So congratulations on that.
Thanks, Sean. Really appreciate it. Thanks for all your help. And, can't wait to see what 2014 has to offer both of us.
My pleasure, man. Appreciate it. We'll talk soon, okay?
Thanks, man. Take care,
Bye.
Sean. See you.